Welcome to another episode of the Flag Stays Down podcast. Title contenders, we'll find out later in this episode, but you got a full house. You got me, Andy. You got Matt. You got Parker. Parker, how you doing?
I'm annoyed that I had to give up watching the Simpsons cast of the Cowboys game to be here tonight to record with you motherfuckers. So yeah, I'm pissed. No, I'm just kidding. I can't even fake that for that long. We did turn it on. It was hilarious. Worth watching for 5 minutes with a drink in hand. They pull Simpsons characters in to make big plays because there's like a 2 minute delay. It's actually pretty entertaining and pretty funny. Yeah, Monday night. Not our normal recording night, but life's good. Weekend was great. My sister was here for part of it. She got in on Thursday and then left on Saturday, and just to meet the little guy and kind of help out around the house. So wonderful having her. And then the rest of the weekend we kind of just spent catching up on a few things and just kind of hanging. But the big fun news at the Gross household starts with not great news, which was my smoker kind of died. The wasn't smoldering the way smokers are supposed to smolder, which then just gave me excuse to upgrade to a Traeger that I got a Black Friday deal on. Got her all set up and ready to go. And yeah, boys, I'm ready to go. I'm excited. And so I feel like I just need to go to the grocery store ready to buy a shit ton of meat and just kind of is again, it's just the two of us. So it's not like I can feed an army, but I always cook like I can. So it'll be fun to experiment with. What's fun about a Traeger is that you can smoke overnight and have it kind of consistently have that hopper going. So briskets become a lot easier. And I'm excited to kind of play around with some stuff like that. So good stuff happening at the Gross household.
Parker, let me ask you before we get to Matt here. If NBC Sports did a Simpsons style Monday Night Football for the Premier League, which cartoon would you use?
I think it would be great to have Archer because just having it's John Benjamin voice something would be hilarious. And I think that the characters in Archer are just great. So I would pick Archer. I think that would be a fantastic pick there.
Benoit. Matt, how you
Nope.
doing?
Balls. Well, doing well. Yeah, it's everything's going well over here. Nice kind of relaxing weekend. Did some stuff around the house. Met up with the Collins family, so we had a nice little breakfast and get together. So that was a great time. Um, Aiden is Miles' new favorite person, so that's a big plus right there. Just extending the family a little bit. Oh, no, all is good. Yeah, it's a little different on a Monday night. Wife actually just left to go play her night volleyball. So I'm sure she'll be thrilled to get home way past her bedtime, but eh, she wanted to do it, so go for it. But yeah, I mean, things are good. We're here. It's been a good week for Chelsea fans, so we're doing big things here. Collins, how about you? How are things going?
Before you say that, guys, on a very special happy birthday edition of your weekend, how are you doing today, Collins?
Good, good. Took my Friday birthday off. Got around played video games, which was great. But no, it's a long weekend. My mom, my son, and I all usually share the same birthday week. We're all within 4 or 5 days of each other. So a lot of celebrations this weekend. One little fun story from the weekend. My wife and son went out to go pick up my birthday gift at Stefan's Soccer. Shout out to great little soccer shop here in Milwaukee. Got me the black third kit. But they come home and Aiden has spent his birthday money. What does he spend it on? A Tottenham jersey. Mid-match. Mid-match. Comes home in a Tottenham hat, Tottenham jersey. I say to my wife, what the fuck is this? Why was this allowed? And she says, well, I don't know anything about anything. I just know not to buy Arsenal. And I said, well, this is just as bad. So he wears the stuff the rest of the day. We got to a restaurant out in the suburbs for dinner with my parents. I want to give a quick shout out to our waitress at the Mine Shaft, who is a Chelsea fan, and asked me, "How was this allowed?" And I said, "Oh, oh, this was a big fight earlier. You don't want to bring that back up again. But no, shout out to her for questioning my wife. That was fantastic. But no, it was a good weekend. I appreciate the birthday wishes, boys.
I'm sure that didn't cause any fights on the drive home or anything.
And nope, and we're definitely not still fighting about it today.
Nothing like stirring that pot after it's already simmered. Beautiful.
So Chelsea beat Tottenham. That was the silver lining in that. Aiden, my son, happened to be watching the match at Stefan's Soccer, decided to buy the Tottenham jersey right after Chelsea had scored the go-ahead goal to make it 3-2. Let's talk about that Chelsea win. We have not lost at the new Tottenham Stadium since it's been opened. I went down 2-0 early, clawed our way back, gave up a late goal, make it 4-3. But boys, what are your first impressions of the match?
Yeah, 3 points FC, right? I mean, that's the running joke, and we can continue to make that joke. I'll let you guys talk about other things. The thing that really stands out to me that doesn't get a lot of press, that doesn't, obviously Palmer with the penalties gets a lot of press and, did very well with them. And a lot of things that get talked about. What doesn't get talked about a lot is that Jadon Sancho goal that made it 2-1. Doesn't get brought up a lot, doesn't get a lot of credit for it, kind of fades into the background. It was kind of a nonchalant goal. I think you said that, Matt. Like, what a nonchalant goal that was from Jadon Sancho. Not a lot of fanfare in it. I don't want to say it was against the run of play, but it was against the momentum of the game for sure. And yeah, that kickstarts everything, right? That gives us a fighting chance to be able to tie the game, to be able to go up, and to be able to kind of build the cushions. Just want to bring that up because I don't think that I don't think a lot of people are talking about that right now, and I think we need that. And just to have a spark of a player that can kind of create and do something good for us, and in a time where we really need it, like we need something. Need someone to go off of there, and so I'm just gonna quick tip my cap to that.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about Kukurea and like yes, his slips and whatnot, and it is what it is. Is it poor planning on his part to not have the right cleats? Blah blah blah. He had a half hour to warm up. If he doesn't slip, then he doesn't see a need to change his boots, right? It's hindsight, right? If you're out there, you're training, you're doing all your stuff in warm up, you don't slip, okay, you have no reason to think otherwise. Then it happens twice. Yeah, and then we have the joke, right, with Kukurea, and Maresca even commented on it, which was quite fantastic. Didn't think he had a sense of humor. But that being said, and Collins, you're going to be pissed, so I'm just going to get this out of the way. We're just going to start early. My biggest takeaway was Bobby Sanchez. I thought he reverted back to not good Bob. His decision making was very questionable a lot of times. And again, I'm only talking about that, not his shot stopping, not anything like that. He did have some big saves late in the match. So I'm giving him all the credit there. It's the decision making, right? I think I counted 4 times he gave the ball directly back to Tottenham in our own third, trying to play out of the back. The first goal, he went to try and get the cross when everybody was in front of him already. Like he went way too early to try and get the cross when there was already, I think it was Brennan Johnson or Solanke was coming across and Levi was there. He went way past to try and play the cross instead and left the goal pretty much completely exposed. The header that came off the crossbar, it looked like he didn't even move. Like he wasn't even set. He was still kind of like midair trying to figure out what was going on. He's reverting back. And granted, it's one game. I don't want to look too much into it, but to me, seeing a lot of that, and he's been playing well this season, but to see that many kind of mental lapses in a game of that caliber, right? It's a big rivalry game. It's a problem. Like that has to be better. It has to be cleaned up, especially if he's going to be the number one. We've talked about the Philip Jorgensen and all that stuff. It's matches like that where you're supposed to be at your best, and he just didn't have a great performance that match.
And I'm not mad at that at all. We talked couple weeks ago, and I'd mentioned, hey, if you're going to make the switch, this is absolutely the stretch of matches to do that in. I'm open to it. Now with the travel to Kazakhstan this week, I think that throws a little bit of a wrench in it. But No, he did not have his best match, and Jorgensen is on a little bit of a hot streak. Might be about time to give Jorgensen a trot out in the Premier League. Um, but my takeaway in the match was divorced Enzo is prime Enzo. I also found out this weekend that my wife does not listen to the podcast because I made a joke about getting my jersey personalized here, my kit personalized. And I was like, oh, maybe I should finally get an Enzo one since I did say I would go gay for him. And boy, that caught her off guard. No, but Enzo is starting to just like Caicedo earlier in the year. He's starting to silence that big price tag. Yeah, I think he's got 10 goal involvements since the divorce now in 7 games, 8 games, something like that. 9, thanks, Parker. Uh, so no, another fantastic game for him. Hell of a hit on the volley. So just well played. And that midfield that we spent so much on is starting to come together here. Well, that kind of touches on shooty boots, unless Parker, you got you got any input on that?
Just that it was phenomenal. I mean, come on, like that shot to take the lead at Tottenham. He wanted to take his jersey off, refrained from it. At first, I thought like, oh, he must be on a yellow, and I later realized he wasn't. But like, he almost took his jersey off for that one. It was quite a hit, and I use the common phrase of you love to see it, but it's just something you love to see. Like he has taken a lot of those shots in his career at Chelsea and hasn't converted all of them, hasn't converted most of them. So he's been able to connect with it. And I can't remember her name, but it's an Argentinian rapper that he is rumored to be with now. And I love that. I'll send my wife also does not listen to the pod, Collins, spoiler alert. But I will send her the Sun articles about Enzo and who he's dating, and she's all for it. She's like, "Yep, give me this is the stuff that I want to know about on a week-to-week basis. I don't give a shit about the stuff you guys talk about, but give me the wags, give me the juice, the tea, the gossip, stuff like that." So, and it's funny because about 4 days earlier, I was just like, "Man, I want to know." I want to see the girl that he's trying to impress. He's done the call me celebration twice now. I want to meet this girl. I want to see who she is. I want to see like, and I was like, it's going to be some Argentinian model or something or another. And then like 4 days later, it comes out, who he's rumored to be with. So keep trying to impress her, Enzo. You're doing all of Chelsea a favor by being in this mode. And yeah, keep at it. We love it.
So talking about Enzo's goal, I'll say the most impressive part is the fact that it was Nico Jackson who pulled down his jersey so that he could not take it off. Of all people on this squad to be the voice of reason, you pick Nico Jackson out of nowhere. Nobody would have had that on their bingo card. Nobody. Collins, you wouldn't have had that on your bingo card in a million years that Nico would be the one with the most level head and say, hey, that's probably not a good idea.
That's why he's
It,
one of my
it was
guys.
it was absolutely perfect. You couldn't write it any better than that.
I will say the celebration around that goal, and yes, coming down from a 2 goal deficit, they hadn't done that in the league in a couple of years. The celebration, I've watched the pitch side view of it probably about 100 times now. You got Pedro Neto jumping like a gazelle. They come over, Enzo comes over, does his slide. Cole Palmer pulls out the corner flag, gives it to Jadon Sancho, who throws it on the ground. You got Body Shield and Gusto grabbing the badge, which I always love. I know that's a sucker move, but I love it. It was a top celebration for a top moment.
Collins, no one asked, but my vote is for you to get a Nico Jackson jersey. That's my vote for you.
It will be going up on the poll, so check it out on X at Flag Down Pod. I think the options from what I can gather are going to be Nico, Enzo, Cucurella, Cole Palmer. I have a feeling who's going to win that.
No
But,
Jasasi?
I got him last year.
That's right. That's right.
I have this lingering feeling with my exquisite track record with hits that I might be in line to purchase a Nico Jackson jersey.
Don't you dare.
The power is real, Collins.
Well,
Nelly.
yeah. So there were 2 goals scored by somebody who a lot of fans across the league were saying is inconsistent, not deserving of Player of the Year, is bested by a Phil Foden, is bested by a Bukayo Saka, and that is Mr. Ice Cold himself, Cole Palmer. Yes, they're penalties, but boy, do we want to talk about those penalties, boys?
Before I talk about the penalties, or before one of you talks about the penalties, because I'll let you guys talk. When you listen to the pundits, and I know you get some of the recency bias, he had a 2 goal performance against Tottenham on the road, so it's valid no matter if it's penalties or not. I mean, Cole's been instrumental when he scores and when he doesn't score. He's been one of our focal points. He's been one of our top performers. Again, we tend to score a lot of goals, so tends to be in that conversation. I mean, people are saying that for the last year and a half, he's been the best player in the Premier League. And the only other player you can throw in there as a comparison is Mo Salah. And it's like Mo Salah has had a vice grip on being one of the top players in the Premier League for the last 5, 6 seasons. He's been in the conversation for it. Maybe not number one, but like I'd say him and De Bruyne have been top of people's conversations for a long time. And in the last 18 months, people are saying that Cole really deserves to be top of people's list for performers and consistent performers. So you can look at little game stretches, 2 game stretches, 3 game stretches, and say like, hey, he hasn't scored yet. But you look backwards a pretty good, healthy amount of time, and the boy has done everything. The boy has done the most, and he has outperformed everybody's expectations, including City fans, including Chelsea fans. He was the last signing that we made that year. Didn't even get consistent run of games when we first signed him. Like, people forget that. Like, he didn't come in and he wasn't a starter day one. He was unknown. He was unproven. And then he started to, become undeniable. And then he became what he is right now. And he's a guy that everyone focuses on when he gets the ball. He's a guy that draws attention in a way that I haven't seen since we've had Aiden Hazard, really, like where the focus just turns inward when he gets the ball at his feet. And he has lived up to every amount of hype that's been put on his name thus far. So I can't really say enough good things about what he's done for us.
Well, let me just real quick talk about the consistency. Looking at the Premier League alone, last year he featured 9 matches, had 33 goal contributions. This year he's played 15 matches, has 17 goal contributions. So he's on pace for one more than last year in the same amount of matches. No, he's Mr. Consistent.
Has anybody heard anything about Phil Foden this season? I have not heard his name once. Anything. You look at what Foden has done internationally, which is jack shit. Like, he was subbed off. Everybody was asking for him to be subbed off and not start multiple times during the Euros. Bukayo Saka, very similar again during Euros. I would argue he's not even the best player on that Arsenal team. So to the individuals saying that they are better than Cole Palmer, I just came up with this one on the spot, so you guys will appreciate it. You can Bukayo Saka my dick. All right. That's fucking terrible. Like, Phil Foden doesn't even get talked about at all. He's arguably what, the fifth best player on City right now, if you can say that. Like, these young English talents, like, yes, they had maybe a good season, but that's about it. Even Bukayo Saka last year wasn't all that special. Again, you look at a team like Arsenal, I'm more afraid of Martinelli than I am Bukayo Saka. I'm more afraid of Odegaard and what he can do as far as creativity and stuff like that. To me, Bukayo Saka is a little bit of a one-trick pony, and Phil Foden is a poacher. That's about it. Cole Palmer does everything. I'll leave it at that.
Just dug a little bit further into the stats, some of the analytics. Last year to this year, his shots per 90, 3.6 to 3.6. His XG per 90, 0.6 to 0.6. His expected assists are actually up 5/100ths of a point. And then passes leading to shots, which I think is an underrated stat. That leads to created opportunities, right? He's up 0.3 of a point. So yeah, dude, the guy has not dropped off. Yes, he had, a couple poor game stretch there where I think he was still rated about a 7 in those matches against United, Arsenal, and Liverpool. But no, he hasn't lost it. And going back to the penalties, first of all, cold on the first one. That and listening to his post game like talk. God, the guy never media train him ever, please. He is delightfully awkward in front of a microphone. But Cole, what were you thinking? Did you plan the Panenka? No, I just put the ball down. I looked at the clock and I thought, hey, things are getting crazy. So he's gonna dive. Might as well just Panenka. Okay.
Cole, do you practice those?
Nah.
Nah,
Nah, if you practice them, you're not gonna make them. So
you're gonna overthink it as if there's enough going on up there for him to overthink anything. I love it, man. I absolutely love it. I do want to just briefly just say though that first penalty was phenomenally hit. That's one of those penalties where you can guess whatever way you want to guess. You guess the right way, you're still not, you're still not hitting that. And I thought it was funny when he looked back on that. He's like, "Oh yeah, I thought I missed that when I." Again, never change. Don't go to media training. This is wonderful.
Like, and the thing is, like, he comes off as like a beautiful idiot. Like he really does. And it's outstanding. But in the back of your mind, you have to think like the size of this guy is nuts to be able to do this in a match. It's against Tottenham. You were down 2-0. It's your second penalty, and this is to put yourself ahead. Really?
after
You
fans have been throwing shit at you.
like really? You're gonna have set of nuts that big to just be like, yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and Panenka. And then I'm gonna go ahead and taunt the entire stadium after the fact. He ran to the stands where the Tottenham fans were. There was the Chelsea side where he scored, he celebrated. Then he went further up the pitch to where all the Tottenham fans were and just went full Hulk Hogan on him. Just beautiful. It is fantastic. We talk about John Terry and the dark arts. This is at a different level. It is John Terry plus Rudiger, dark arts, and shithousery. I love it. I'm here for it. I need all of it.
Who was it that called the game for NBC? Was that John Champion?
I don't remember.
Anyways, whoever was doing the play-by-play, first of all, was fantastic. There was the first penalty says so Spursy to blow a 2-goal lead at home. But then the Panenka talks about how cheeky it is. He talks about how smart it is. And he goes, almost as if to taunt the Tottenham fans. And yes, absolutely, that's what Cole Palmer's doing. Cole Palmer's a bit of a dick, but well, yeah, he's ours. I'll say it that way.
And he is living rent free in all of those Tottenham fans' heads right now because they go to bed, they close their eyes, and they see Cole Palmer doing that shit to them. And I love that. We haven't had a guy like that for a minute, and it's just great.
Well, I do want to talk a little bit about the mentality of this team outside of Cole Palmer. Obviously, to go down 2-0 within what, 15 minutes, 17 minutes? Yes, Kukurea did slip. Yes, he had boot issues. Those were corrected. But in a hostile environment where you can't win at a place forever, I was worried. I didn't get a chance to tune in until late into the game. But just following on my phone, I'm like, oh shit, here we go. This thing's about to steamroll out of control. We've been on a roll, and this is where it all comes to an end. The mentality of this team to come on back. Who do you think drives that?
I think players do. I think we've talked so much about the mentality shift of this team from where we were when we started this whole thing to where we are now. I think the players are driving it. After Palmer's goal, they had to like pull Enzo back as he was just talking shit left and right. Like that's the new mentality is yes, you may have been up to nothing, but we're gonna come back, we're gonna beat you, and we're gonna talk shit while doing it. But the other thing is in this game, they kept a pretty level head, which we've all seen what happens during Chelsea Tottenham games, right? We all remember the Battle of the Bridge. These games get very chippy very quick. We were very level headed, which is something I would not expect from a team this young. So I think a lot of that is driven by the manager, but the players are also doing their part to keep themselves in check. Maresca only has so much control when they're out there, but I think he's gotten to a point where He knows what the mentality is. He's got everybody on the same page, and the players are kind of policing themselves to this point. And it's something that I didn't think we would see for a while, given how young our team is. But seeing the overall shift has been really a joy to watch.
I like that a lot, Matt. I think we did have a level head going in, and I think this team is battle tested now that they've been in situations like this. I Ironically, I think the way we conceded goals made it almost a little bit easier to write them off in our head. Like they didn't outplay us. Made a slip. Like it was a slip that led to goal, slip that led to goal. And you can kind of say like that's not us. It wasn't like they performed something beautifully or perfectly that broke us down. They took advantage of opportunities that we gave them. But we have a lot of firepower, and I think our team knows that we have a lot of firepower and that we can score goals. So that means we can stay in games. And flukes happen. Things happen to concede goals. They're going to happen all year. People are going to make brilliant plays against us to score goals. That happens to everybody. It's like how we respond and how we kind of rebound from it. And I just tried to look because I didn't remember, but we scored 7 minutes after that. Jadon Sancho, that nonchalant goal was 7 minutes after. I think that's the response. Like that's we still have the ability to get in this game. You can treat it like it's 0-0 and you can still kind of take it from the first kickoff, and a lot of game left. 11 minutes in, we're down 2, but a lot of game left and we can score a lot of goals. So I give credit to Maresca. I give credit to the boys, and I give credit to the fact that we've got a seasoned team out there now that's been in losing situations before. They understand it. They understand what they bring to the table, and that there's still 80 plus stoppage time minutes of a game to play, and that 10 minutes can't really define you.
Yeah, and I think the experience definitely helps. The experience of losing. A lot of these players had come from clubs that dominate their small, not small local leagues, but smaller nations league. Coming to the Premier League and getting bossed for a year and a half definitely builds up some character. I'm going to give credit to Enzo Maresca here. I think he very much keeps a cool head. And I've pointed out to you guys before, I like how brutally honest he is in press conferences. I think Noni Madueke has responded fantastically to Maresca, calling him out in press conferences. Matt, you mentioned Cucurella kind of got called out with a joke this week. Look at Enzo Fernandez, especially coming off the weird summer that he had. Singing racist songs down in Argentina and possible ban coming and getting divorced from his wife, not playing well for the better part of 6, 7, 8 months. Maresca comes in and benches him and puts him in the lab and comes back a new man. I think a lot of that starts from up top. So I'm going to give Enzo Maresca quite a bit of credit, but the players absolutely get some of that as well. But no, definitely with a young team, I think it's kind of a top-down mentality. So I do have to ask, because we now have a big result. We've beaten what is not this year, but you can consider a top 6 team, and definitely in a derby match of this caliber. Parker, I ask you this just about every single week. Are we back? As he takes a big sip.
I feel like we put a ban on you being able to ask that question of the team or anybody on the team. I think you've overused that to the point of no mas.
Are we back is the new vibes. Yeah, it's going to be tough for me to make the switch into yes, we're back. And I try to take a longer term viewpoint on these things. And I said this half jokingly, half not joking in the group text, but if you have to ask the question, then we're not. It should be evident that we're back. It should be unequivocal that we're back. And I don't know exactly what that means from a result, but until we really are title contenders, until we're 30 matches in and contending for the title, I don't think we're back. And are we on track for being back? Sure. Can I acknowledge the improvements? Yeah, absolutely. We're second in the league, right? We're 4 off Liverpool, but Liverpool have a game in hand, so it's a little bit skewed there. So of course, I can acknowledge all of the good things that are going on, but we talk a lot about the history of this club. talk a lot about what we've done in the past. And this club is a 2 times Champions League winner. We're a many-time FA Cup winner. We've won the league. We've won it all. And until we're doing that again, that's where we were. So to be back to that, it's winning the treble. Like John Terry has a song about winning the double, right? Like everyone can talk about that. Until we're singing songs about that, I don't think we're back. And that's a really fucking high bar to get back to. But that's Chelsea. That's our reality, man. And so when you look back at the last 6 results, the only marquee win is against Tottenham, but there's a draw to Arsenal in there. When you go back, there's a loss to Liverpool in there. When you go back, and there's a loss to City in there. When you go back, that's not back to me. Beating those teams is be like that's back to me. And until we're talking at that level, I'm not going to say we're back. Other teams might be there if they were having the season that we're having, but that's not Chelsea.
So I'm gonna follow the words of our fearless leader Enzo Maresca and say we are still not title contenders because it seems to be working in our favor. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I think that's where I'm going to leave that is, and Parker, you brought up a great point. Like, yes, we see the improvement, right? It's evident that we see where this team is going to. But that's the thing, it's where we're going to. We're not there yet, but you can see the strides and you can see the positivity coming out of kind of this project, right? We've talked about the project and trust in the process and all this stuff. We're starting to see that a little bit more and more now. Did we expect the kind of dramatic downfall in the last month of City? Did anybody predict that? No. So I think anybody can have a poor run of form, right? We've seen that, we've experienced that time and time again. So I think it's a combination of us starting to perform the way that I think we all want us to and kind of expect us to, being Chelsea supporters. But you lump that in with, slides with Arsenal, slides with City. Liverpool is still doing Liverpool things, right? They've been top four for the last, what seems like decade, right? So we still have a way to go, but we are trending in the right direction. I think if you take out Man City's, last 3-4 weeks, they're still up there and they're still battling, real quick with Liverpool up top there and go on from there. Do I think we're in a position that we deserve to be? I think yes, based on the way that we've played, we deserve to be where we are. However, I think it's probably looking a little better than it probably should right now. But again, the improvements are there. I'm a huge fan of what I'm seeing. I'm starting to get that confidence back of, looking at who we play and being like, okay, yep, that's a win, that's a win, that's a win. We're starting to get that feeling back, but it's still going to take a little bit of time to actually get quote unquote back to where we are or to where we should be.
So now that I'm hearing your guys' explanation, back is kind of a subjective term, right? Um, I'm in no way saying we're back to title winning Chelsea, right? Because in the last 20 years, we've only done that 5 times. We're not consistent title winners. In fact, in the last 7 or 8 years, double digit points at least off of the title winner every single year. I think going back to when we won it in 2017. Top four and competing late into the season in the title race. For me, that's back. Dominating on the European scene. Yeah, we're in the Conference League, but we're taking care of business there. We got the FA Cup coming up. We'll see how that goes. But in terms of Matt, you can cross off your bingo card vibes. In terms of vibes around this club, we are back to where we were pre-Abramovich selling. We are in the mix. We are in the hunt. We have the pieces there that could be title winners. I'm not saying that we're out and out gonna go win it. We are in that top four discussion, and I think the next step for this club is to surpass being back and to put on a Man City style domination. Enzo Maresca talked about the next 10 years, you could absolutely see this club dominating English football. That's the next step. That's the step beyond back. So in my mind, at least 15 matches through the year, on pace for 78 points, which historically would put us third in the league. We are back.
We're back in the mix, and I understand what you're saying as well, right? Like we're back in the conversations. I do think, and I'm just going to pick on Villa just because I can. I do think when you have Champions League football midweek, I said this last week or whenever we played Villa, it's harder to do what we can do, right? You can't put out a full B squad and do what we did. And so, game congestion or fixture congestion kind of becomes a part, and you have to be able to rotate your squad and still compete on multiple higher echelon fronts. So I think the Conference League, yes, we're doing very well in it. Yes, I'm happy about that. And yes, I think that is a crutch that we can lean on this year to kind of help springboard us into next year. Next year is where the real test, though, is for me. Because if we do take top four and we are in Champions League, then I think we're going to really see what this team is made up of.
So if this team goes out and signs, I'll just say it, a goalkeeper, a center back, and maybe another wing back, I think the rest of the squad is built for Champions League nights. It's built for the twice a week for the majority of the season. You're 2 to 3 deep at just about every other position on this club. I mean, hell, at goalkeeper we're like 7 deep, but none of them Champions League level. No, I understand that we're not facing the toughest competition in Europe right now. But you're right. It's a good test. It's a good kind of litmus test, good transition into next year. But I think this team right now is built for Champions League football.
I guess I don't disagree. I'm just saying, like, we were almost in the Europa League based on that United City match that happened at the end of the year. I would be a lot more comfortable with where we're at today if we were doing what we're doing in the Europa League versus the Conference League. That's all. It's an impossible comparison to make, and I'm not trying to make it just. I would feel more comfortable if this team, led by Joao Felix and Nkunku team, was kind of crushing it in the Europa League, and they might have just done the same exact thing, right? Like that full B squad could have done the exact same thing that they're doing in the Conference League. It's just going to be up against a lot better competition, I feel.
But I do real quick want to make two side notes. Number one, in regards to being back, we had a comment on last week's episode from Noble Fighter. He said, "quote I'm going to bite the bullet. I think it'll be tight, but I'm going to say the boys secure third at the end of the season." That was in regards to our conversation last week about where do you finish. He also says, "Congrats, Parker, on the birth of Enzo." So shout out to Noble Fighter. Thank you for the comments. As always, leave your comments if you're on Spotify. We're happy to read them here on the pod. But the other side note I have is that the Conference League has been very interesting, not only to watch, it's a lot of teams that I have never watched before ever in my life. Half of them I've never heard of before ever in my life. But the camaraderie of all the clubs off the pitch is pretty astounding. I'm seeing a lot of FC Noah positive posts about us. We saw it earlier with Servette in the playoffs. Anytime Arsenal loses or something, they'll make a post about Chelsea being fantastic. So it's been real interesting seeing what some of those lower level teams kind of do. So, anyways, not really a discussion point, just something interesting I thought of this week.
Shout out to FC Noah for going on an absolute tear after we beat them. They started demolishing their opponents, and then they shouted us out for like the thanks Chelsea for the motivation, and it's like that's awesome. You love to see those things too.
But what did they go like 20 goals to nothing in their next like 4 matches
with a 7-0 drubbing in there too, right? Like I think we beat Noah 8-0.
8-0, yeah.
And yeah, I think their next, not the next one after, I think it was like 3-0 and then 7-0 the one after that. It's like that's great.
Well, this week we have Astana out of Kazakhstan. That match is going to be at 3:30 UK time, so that's mid-morning roughly for us here in the States. It's supposed to be like -11 Celsius for that match. They're basically playing on the Chinese border. It is a 9.5 hour flight from London. the lineup hasn't been released, but the team traveling has been leaked, and it looks like a lot of PL2, U21s, U18s, and Kieran Dewsbury Hall. Do you think we leave Kazakhstan with a win? Does it matter?
No, I was just about to say, who the fuck cares? I don't care. Like at the end of the day, I really don't. I'm glad to see that we're making that decision though. That is a business decision, right? We're through. We know what needs. We're fine. Save your team for what's kind of I think the more important route, which is right now the Premier League, right? We're in a very opportune position right now. That should be, I think, the main focus.
Couldn't agree more. The only thing I'm going to add is like I was thinking about this when we were losing to Tottenham, and I was just saying to myself how critical it is to get a win in this match when you have Liverpool drawing. I'm sorry, Liverpool delayed because of weather. City drawing, Arsenal decision there. I can't remember exactly what happened, but they didn't optimize their points. Newcastle losing, like everyone else kind of like drawing or losing, those are the perfect weeks to win. And against Tottenham, especially, the fact that we get to come out of Tottenham with a win, I think is just absolutely critical in matches like that. So couldn't agree more, Matt. That's where our focus is. And I wouldn't be mad if our backup team played that match against Astana, and I wouldn't be mad if our backup team plus a lot of reserves play that match. Those are learning moments for those boys, and it's where they can earn their stripes and show out, and not in the most ideal of conditions, but tough, deal with it.
I wouldn't even be mad if they kept Enzo Maresca home. Let Willie Caballero manage that game. They look the same. Just give him the on the pullover. But what I would hope then, and let me ask you this because I think it's the more important question: 3 points against Brentford over the weekend. What do you think?
It has to happen.
Yeah, I don't see a reason why we don't walk away with 3 points. Granted, it is a Premier League. Anything can happen, as we're starting to see with a lot of teams. But I think we're going in with a confidence and with a rested squad, which I think is going to be a big plus.
I also think like while it's not a marquee win to win against Brentford, but like our home form hasn't been as good as our away form. Our away form has been pretty tremendous, which I think is great. But I think like Stamford Bridge is ready to erupt for a really big win against a decent team, right? They're in the top half. They're not bad. And so I think like if you kind of take it to someone like that and make it known your presence at home, like let the 44,000 of Stamford Bridge cheer on that team to victory.
Well, let's wrap up today's episode as always with our man of the match poll. We'll just touch on the Tottenham one. We didn't really talk about the Southampton game, so we'll kind of leave that one aside. Man of the match for Chelsea Tottenham. We got Cole Palmer, Enzo Fernandez, Moises Caicedo. We didn't get to, but played an interesting role in this one, and Jadon Sancho. Matt, we'll start with you. Who are you going with?
I think for me, it's got to be Cole. I don't see really anything else kind of driving that.
I would probably vote the same, but to be different, I'm gonna shout back to my earlier comment that Jadon Sancho got us back in the game kind of on his own and gives us a chance to fight back and really reshift the momentum. So I thought he played a pretty decent game overall, and that was a big part of it for me.
And I was also different. I went Enzo Fernandez. His line breaking ability, distribution, ever increasing runs into the box are proving pretty critical for this team. Cole Palmer is your winner with 46% of the vote. Jadon Sancho in second with 30, Enzo with 15, and Caicedo with 7. So again, make sure to check out that poll, as well as the poll for who I should get on the back of my kit this year by following us on socials at Flag Down Pod. Boys, any closing thoughts?
I almost ran a man of get the fuck out of here poll, but I decided against it. I think that needs to be probably retired. It just needs to. We're in positivity mode. We're not in negativity mode anymore. But for once, it probably wouldn't have been Anthony Taylor, which is hilarious to me. I don't think it would have been. So shout out to Anthony Taylor, kind of maybe sort of refing that match fairish. I'll say
And to piggyback,
By his standards, fair-ish.
that still with like an asterisk on it, but like not bad.
and to piggyback, shout out to PGMOL for firing David Cootie finally.
About time.
All right.
But before we sign off, just a generous and very heartfelt fuck off to Tottenham fans for throwing shit on the pitch nonstop. It means a lot coming from me. I really mean that with every fiber of my being. Just really, just fuck off.
I had no idea where that was going. And a lot of times those fuck offs come my way. So I was a little worried. But yes, Matt, I agree. And on that note, I'll talk to you later, boys. Cheers.
Hey,
Later.
buddy.